And welcome back to the Betfair.com Haskell Seminar. Tom Cassidy from TVG alongside Matt Bernier from DRF, the racing form, and Dean Keppler of Betfair Exchange as we get ready to take a look at some of the stakes races for the card on Sunday, Betfair.com Haskell Day. And gentlemen, we'll start with the Grade 2 Monmouth Cup. And there's a horse in there that looks like kind of a horse that's going to be awfully tough, and Bradester. What were your thoughts, Matt?
Brazier's most recent start, and Stephen Foster, no complaints about it other than the fact that he got a pretty easy lead. I do like the fact that he loves this track here at Monmouth. You don't have to worry about that. The concern is price, and you know, talking about Betfair and whatnot, you have the ability to at least try to shop around a little bit. For me, from an individual race standpoint, I'm looking at it saying I'm just going to key him on top. And I know this horse is right now a little bit on the slow side. I think Encryption's starting to come back into his best form. I know the most recent buyer is a little bit light, but I'm going to punch the cold 2-5 exacta.
Dean, how did you see it?
Yeah, I don't have much more to add to that. I mean, he looks like a real strong favorite in here. He loves his track. He's got 3 wins in 3 seconds. It looks like he's going to be the lone speed in here. Joe Bravo, Eddie Keneally. I mean, he's making his 3rd start off the layoff. He's won. He's well over $1 million now in earnings, and I just think he's going to be your single here if you're playing the exotics. And I'm going 2-4 here. My second pick will be 4 Mr. Jordan, who's a first-time gelding. He's making his 2nd start off the layoff, and but I don't think I could go much further than those 2 in here. That'd be my main key horses.
Bracer 6-5 on the morning line, or 2.2 would be the price trading at on the exchange. But obviously, you want to get better than that. Going to be tough to find. If you can find that, take it in the Monmouth Cup. All right, let's move forward, and we'll go to race number 9 on the card. 9th race going to be the Grade 3 Oceanport, a big field, a competitive field signed on in there. As we get more toward the outside, we see horses like Black Type for Christophe Clement, Infinite Wisdom, who's on a good streak for Brian Lynch. Gentlemen, what do you like in there, Matt?
You know, I think there's a fair amount of speed signed up for a turf race. I don't think they're going to be just walking it out there. And for me, it was more a matter of taking a stand against the Todd Pletcher horse coming off of a 14-month layoff winning cause. Obviously, if he comes back right, he's got a big chance in here. I'm most interested in the horse drawn down to the inside, the 1 Captain Dixie. Maybe a little bit suspect as far as class is concerned against the top runners in this spot, but I do think he's going to get a decent setup. And I think he might get 5-1 on the morning line. I think you get a little bit more than that.
Dean, how about you?
I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but me and Matt are on the same horse here. I like the 1 as well. Jamie Ness claimed this horse from Chad Brown for $35,000, which looks beginning to look like a steal at this point in his career. If you watch his replay in the Dixie, I mean, the horse had all kinds of trouble in that race. He wound up galloping out well. He had tons of horse at the end. And I think, as Matt suggests, he's going to get a good trip in here. There's a lot of speed. He should be able to save a lot of ground from the inside. And, if we can lock in something close to those 5-1 odds, I'll definitely be jumping on that.
I might be reaching a little bit here, but I ended up going with Bill Mott and War Dancer. Coming out of that 1.25-mile race over the poly track at Woodbine, where he kind of broke sharp, found himself on the lead and went with it, and got tired at the end. Now, that was off of a bit of a layoff, almost 2.5 months. With the speed signed on, it looks like he might get a similar trip to what he got at Gulfstream a couple of starts back. 8-1 on the morning line is the price. Florent Giroux is going to ride. I thought this horse is worth a shot. So if you can get this horse trading at 9 or so on the exchange, it looks like it's certainly some good value for a horse who he's had some good form against tough horses. We just got to see him kind of get back to it. We'll go on to race number 10. Now, race 10 is an interesting race. It's the Grade 3 Molly Pitcher. And we get toward the outside, and there's probably no doubt about it. Bird at the Wire is the class of the field. But do you take the favorite here, or do you try to defeat her in her return to a 2-turn route race?
This is one of those races for me where I look at it and say, I've never been a huge Bird at the Wire fan. I finally bought into her for a couple races earlier this year, and she burned me in a big way, so I'm a little bit sour. I think she's still a 1-turn horse. I think she's a closing sprinter. I don't think she truly wants to route. And I'm taking a stand against the local prep for this race here, the Lady Secret. I just didn't like it as a whole. There's a horse in here that has burned me in the past, and she'll probably burn me again Sunday afternoon. Super Majesty, I think, is the speed of the speed, and I understand if you want to say she shouldn't have lost at 1-2 last time. But those 2 horses, the one that hooked her and herself, they went off and cleared by about 10 and change. I just look at it and say, I have a question about 2 turns with Bird at the Wire. I don't like any of the horses coming out of the Lady Secret. Give me Super Majesty. I made her 8-5. I'm going to be greedy. I prefer 2-1, but I'd be okay if she came off at 8-5.
Dean, what about you? Bird at the wire, or are you?
I'm actually with Matt here again here on the 3 Super Majesty. I think he's, as he said, the speed. I think he's got a good chance to go with wire to wire in here. My second pick is the 2 January with Todd Pletcher. I just think with Paco Lopez, he'd be able to sit a nice pocket trip behind him. And, you know, I have never really been a big Bird on the wire fan here, and I think he's going to be overbet. And, you know, I just don't see him here. This is a very speed favoring track, and you know, based on his running style, he likes to come from way back, and I think he's going to be up against it in here. You know, all due respect to Dale Romans, but I just think from a tactical point of view, he's going to be up against it.
I think we see a decent amount of speed in the race. That's how I looked at it. Super Majesty coming off of that race, Iowa distaff. You know, genre, her second last time out in the Ladies Secret. I thought it was okay, and maybe I'm looking too far into this. I thought maybe she's better at a mile. Maybe we're pushing it a little farther with the mile and the 16th. That's why I went to the inside with Eskin for money. I'm thinking we might see some speed early on, and I could just see Bravo sitting right in behind, just waiting for that rail to open up and try to kick on through. And on that last race, she was okay. She just missed second. She was under a ride first few strides out of the gate, just to kind of get into the race. All in all, it was decent, but she's rounding back into top form here. I decided to go there. She's 3-1 on the morning line, so trading at 4 on the exchange would be the price based on the morning line. But if you can get, I would even take, 5-2 if I could get it with Eskin for money from the inside, just to try to pull off a little bit of an upset over the favorite Bird at the wire from the outside. Next up, we reach the grade 3 matchmaker here, and as we scroll through this field, I mean, we have a group of 12. We're looking at 4-1 on the morning line for our favorite here, if I'm seeing this correctly, and that's it's Only Acting Dad coming off of that second place effort last time out behind Robillard, and went wire to wire. They went 133 for the mile there, 39 for the mile on the 16th. I went with her. I thought she's going to get the right setup in this spot. Bravo's going to get aboard here for the first time. Nobody knows the turf course better than he does. This kind of race, I hate taking the favorite, but, if a horse is trading at 5s and that's the favorite, I'm happy to do so. But how about you?
This is a race where I don't have a super strong opinion, but I do look at it and say I think you've got an honest pace signed on. You're going to get enough going forward that should set up for the horses coming from out of it. And it sounds like we've got rain coming in tomorrow and we've got rain coming in on Sunday. A horse that she's burned me again. I feel like I'm saying broken record at this point. Heath is a horse that I think she does her best running on courses with a little bit of give in it, as evidenced by those 2 races, 2 and 3 back. I thought her Gallarette was giant considering how wide she had to come off the far turn. Thought she closed really well. For me, simply because it's not a race that I've got a super strong opinion, I would want to be keying her up and down whether I'm playing a trifecta or a superfecta and say, she may not win, but I think she's got a pretty good chance to hit the board.
All right, now let me ask a follow-up question to that. 5-1 on the morning line. She's burned you a couple of times. What price does she owe you on the exchange?
If we're looking at it from a win standpoint on the exchange, I would probably want closer to 7. But again, I'm being a little bit greedy, knowing that I may not get that. You get Bejarano aboard. It's Bill Mott. And I got to be honest, too. I know some people wanted to say that Dan Smartley was not a very good effort from her most recently up at Woodbine. She came running on at the end, and Woodbine's a very odd configuration with that super long stretch. It's hard for some horses to find ground and finish it off well. From a win standpoint, exchange 7-1, but at the same time, for me, she's just up and down in exotics.
Dean, top pick.
Yeah, I actually like a price in here, number 5, Tammy the Torpedo. I actually watched her last race over at Parks, and it just looked like a prep here. You got Paco Lopez and Chad Brown, a combination second off the layoff. It's a very high percentage. They're clicking close to like 60%. The horse came back with a nice work at Belmont over the turf course, a nice breeze there. And I just really think this horse will improve dramatically off that last race on July 4th. And I think we're going to get a nice price. I would lock in probably somewhere around 6-1 would be great on the exchange.
That's a look at the grade 3 matchmaker, the WinStar matchmaker. All right, let's talk about the race we're all here for. That's the Betfair.com Haskell, 49th edition of the Betfair.com Haskell, a field of 6. Of course, Nyquist has the inside draw, 6-5 on the morning line, set by Brad Thomas. It's the big one. Matt, take it away, my friend. Who do you like here?
Tactically, I think it's a fascinating race. You've got a lot of horses that like to be forwardly placed, particularly Nyquist drawn from the inside. You're going to have American Freedom for Baffert that goes out. Baffert obviously only sends good horses over here for the Haskell. Past 5 years, 4 wins and a second-place finish. I think those two hook up. Maybe Awesome Slew, even with the blinkers on for Plisa, is an interesting sort of pace presser or one that can add to the pace scenario. I think Gunrunner works out a beautiful trip in here. Should sit just off of Florent Giroux. I can understand that most recent start in the Matt win. gate to wire, things looked like that was kind of the best race to date that horse had run. I still think he's better off a little bit coming from off the pace. Should get a nice setup. If I could lock in 5-2, I'd take 5-2.
How about you, Dean, for the Betfair.com?
I like Gun Runner as well. I think he's matured a lot since the spring. He's filled out mentally and physically. I think he's coming up to the best race of his life here. The horse has a tactical advantage where he can be up near the lead or he can sit back. And I just think, he's got the hottest jockey in the country right now. This guy can't seem to do anything wrong as far as grading stakes races, and that's where my money's going to be.
You guys know who I like?
Yeah.
This horse is going to be 5-2 on the toe board, isn't he? Haskell Day. So I'll be trading at 3.5. But I'm with you, and I really don't have a whole lot to add. It just seems like the timing's worked out beautifully. The plan has worked out beautifully, and the confidence rolling in here looks like it's really going to be setting this one up for a big effort. And it's tough because we want a better price, obviously, than what we're probably going to get. But Gunrunner just seems like he's that horse that everybody's starting to jump on. And I almost wonder, is Bob Baffert's horse going to be an overlay? He looks for his record 9th victory in the Betfair.com Haskell. American Freedom, lately raced, a horse what appears to be a ton of talent. Yeah,
we don't know just yet how good he actually is, or conversely, if he doesn't belong with these. He could easily end up being one of the better 3-year-olds. Baffert's always talked about him, handled him like he's a good horse. And I think we've got to make acknowledgement of Exaggerator. We haven't talked about him yet. If it comes up wet on Sunday afternoon, plenty of pace in the race. I don't particularly love him in this spot, but I'm not going to be surprised at all if he runs a good race.
Where do you see American Freedom?
I'm kind of against Exaggerated here. I don't think this was the plan all along. He didn't train well up at Saratoga. It just looks like, the B option. And, I'm going to play against him here in this spot. But like Matt suggested, if it does come up sloppy, obviously he likes the wet track.
Sure.
If there's a speed duel and they kill each other up front like they did to Preakness, there's a good chance he could pick up the pieces. But I'm going to be playing against him here. I just think this was Plan B. It wasn't something they were, going, mapping out from the beginning. And I just think they kind of rushed him into the race for, in hope of him winning this race and going for the 3-year-old championship.
Is there a result in the Betfair.com Haskell that would surprise you Sunday?
I have to be honest, there's no disrespect to the connections. If either of, we'll call them the also-rans, that's the way I'm looking at it right now. If Awesome Slew or the other horse that's coming into this spot, Sunny Ridge, who I love, if either one of them were to win, I would be very, very surprised. I think it's going to be one of the 4. But that doesn't mean that the other 2 horses don't have a chance to hit the board somewhere. I think Sunny Ridge is a sneaky horse. I know it's been a long, long layoff. This is a really salty spot to bring him back in. But I think this is a horse that showed as a 2-year-old. He can run. He's a nice Jersey bred. I think he's got a nice opportunity to pick up the pieces here. Don't think he can win, but I think it comes down to those 4 horses. And if one of the other 2 wins, I'd be quite surprised.
Yeah, my long shot pick here would be number 3, Awesome Slew. Yeah. I don't think he can win as well, but I think he can hit the board. He has blinkers. He got some good 2-turn experience last time. It was quoted that Paco Lopez thought he moved a little bit too soon in that race. Yep. He's got a couple stamina works in him, and I think, I wouldn't be shocked if he ran 3rd or 4th in this race.
Yeah, Awesome Slew. A horse that the connections have always been very high on, and now with the blinkers going on, and you talked about Paco Lopez, reportedly quoted as saying he moved a little too soon last time out in the Pegasus, but I think we might see him just go. Yeah. I think there's a chance that he's going right out because, Paco Lopez, the reason he is so good is not only is he always on good horses, but he knows where the other ones are and how to kind of take them out of their game. So I'm thinking we might see Awesome Slew right for the rail, right for the front on out of there, and go as far as you can, as fast as you can.
I think the most interesting thing, too, as far as the rail is concerned, talking about Awesome Slew trying to get out and over, is Mario Gutierrez on Nyquist. At this stage in the game, do you ride him similarly to the way that they rode him in the Preakness, where you just go on with it and say, we think we're on the best horse, let's try and take him gate to wire, knowing that you may have a horse, first-time blinkers, that may be a little bit keyed up and wants to go. And you've also got American Freedom for Baffert, who would likely be forwardly placed. I wonder, I think Nyquist from the rail just goes on with it.
Dean, how do you see the pace scenario?
I think, too. I think he has to send from the rail. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah, it's a 6-horse field, but it's a great field. Of course, the top 3 finishers from the Kentucky Derby, and the way the pace scenario, the draw makes it that much more interesting to see how the early fractions are going to set up and who's going to be setting those early fractions. But that's a look at all the stakes action on the Betfair.com Haskell card. Matt, as always, sir, thank you very much. Pleasure. Dean, thank you very much as well. That's going to do it for our look at the stakes races on Sunday. Q&A session coming up in just a few, so stay right there.